Hi and welcome to another episode of At Your Big Age. I am your host, Dionne.
And today I'm Kieron.
Oh, you're Kieron today?
My proper name, yeah.
Okay.
My government name.
Oh, lovely. So before we get started, guys, please share this video, subscribe. We want to say a special thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far, because we've just kind of recently brought Love Bear and At Your Big Age to YouTube. So help us out, subscribe and share with your friends. So today we're going to talk about, should parenting be planned, but in the context of at your big age? Okay. What are your thoughts?
What if I was should people our age now not have any oops babies?
Yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, you would plan, wouldn't you? You would sit down and plan, but things, I feel like, what are we planning for? Money? How would you plan now to have a kid? You got to think. You take finances into consideration. You take the status of your relationship into consideration. Mm-hmm. Your living arrangements.
Yeah.
Career. How it's going to affect your career. Whatnot.
Yeah.
At any given time, especially now, any one of those things could change and throw everything else out of balance. Even if you sit down and you have a conversation, you're like, right, you know what, we're gonna do this now. Mm-hmm. Your situation in a year's to 18 months to 24 months time might not be the same. So you can plan it, mm-hmm. but you can't plan for. You can plan for now, but you can't plan for the unknown. Do you know what I mean?
No, I hear you 100%. I kind of feel like, for example, I always get the question of like, are you going to have any more children? And I'm like, it's not that I can't, but for me, I'm like, well, the situation would have to be near enough immaculate. So for me, the situation would have to be, well, I'm in a financial position to take off as long as I want to stay at home with that child. I have to be married or in a very serious long-term situation that is, we're both emotionally intelligent. We both have the same kind of goals in terms of, building and actually wanting a family. Now, the thing is, obviously, there's people in situations where, okay, we're in our 40s now, right? So
some more than others.
I mean, give or take a year or two, you know what I mean? Yeah, but there's gonna be people in situations where it's like, well, I want a child. So actually, I might just have one for the next person that's kind of available, which isn't really hard to do.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True that.
But then it's like, what are the long-term consequences of...
You end up on your own. That's what I say. You can't really, but you can end up on your own anyway.
You could end up, but then is it not better to have the intention of, okay, this is the plan. Obviously, it may not ever go to plan.
But most people have that, even when they don't plan to have a kid with someone, I feel like.
You think?
I mean, I did. I didn't feel like it was going to go tits up. But stuff happens, doesn't it? You don't, I think it takes a kind of, you got to be a wicked individual to go into something knowing full well that you're not going to, and obviously you're not going to stick around. But I feel like for the most part, most people would want it to be, even if it's right, we didn't plan it, but I want it to be like as solid as it can be moving forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Dee? Do you think parenting and having the conscious decision to have a child, do you think that is something that should ideally be in an ideal world?
Yeah, in an ideal world, yeah, that'll be the best way to do it. You can plan, make sure you got enough finances for everything to come. in the ideal world, I'm talking as a straight hypocrite, but yeah, ideally, I think that is the best way to do it. It could be very, very, it could be very hard, man. Very hard when you do the whole unplanned kids. Yeah.
How do you work out
when? How much is enough?
Yeah, how much is
honestly,
enough?
I reckon before you have your first child, if you don't want to have no skin off, like, one child ain't even bad. If you want me to be honest with you, when I had one's manageable. Two's even manageable. Two's manageable. When you start going past two is where it starts to get a bit like hefty, when it's like back to school times and stuff like that. So if it's just one child, then to be fair, I don't think you need to wait till you have a certain amount of money, because you can make it work on probably what you have. But I say look at it, have about 20 grand per child in your head. 20 grand per child. If you've got that put down, I reckon you can kind of and slowly kind of spend that on the child.
What? So for what time period is this 20 grand?
No, I would say 1 to 18, not like that, up to about 16. If you have about 20 grand, that will get you through your summer holidays with the school uniforms, and they'll still get to have. They won't feel like they've missed on anything either. You'll still be able to give them their holiday, or a holiday once a year or so. They won't miss. You can still not say you're going to be up to date in the latest designers and everything, but point is, if you had about 20 grand put down per child, I don't feel like your child, if you spent that money rightly, would feel like he's missed anything. He would have had the trainers like everyone else. He would have had the same holidays as everyone else. He don't miss. Less than that, it can start to become interesting.
Because I think that, as you said, 20 grand, I just started to do some really quick maths in my head. And I was thinking, like, okay, so when I had my daughter, she's 6. Her buggy cost just under £1,000. Her cot probably cost about 400. Her Chester drawers probably cost about 200. Then there's all the other bits in between. So now we're probably already car seat.
PTSD, man.
Do you know, shopping for the car seat was the most stressful experience of my life. I literally sat it out and I said to her dad, you talk to them, because this is just way too much for me. But by the time you add all of that up, you're probably already at
10.
Nah, not that much.
Maybe about 5.
You're about 5 on the, but remember, you talked about child 1, right? So that's when you spoil them. Have 7 of them, and let's see what cot you buy, and then we'll see what car seat you buy. And you start to realize, you start to budget. You start to realize, when I had 1, you're right. When we had 1, I remember we got the bugaboo. I remember number 1 got the bugaboo and all of that. Mom, yeah, I need the bugaboo. Listen, you see, like when we got to like child number 7, when you're done with the car seat, if your child's outgrowing it, pass it down.
Pass it down, absolutely.
The chest is no longer high. Yeah. Everything you just said, it just brought back deja vu. I was like, yeah, I remember shopping for the first car seat. Even the second and third one, to be fair. So after child number 3, we was like, are we really going to do this? Because you're right. We started to realize, how much have you really spent? And if you can afford it at the time, you don't notice it. It's only when you start tallying it up, and you're like, ooh.
Because then I'm even thinking about nursery fees.
1,200 a month per child.
Right. So, and, you know, realistically, who can put down
in this here climate
20 grand? Do you know what I mean? Because you've probably got your rent, your mortgage to pay, council tax, utilities, your car,
bills, whatever,
broadband.
But we're talking about in the ideal world, right? Because in the realistic world, you're probably going to have an unplanned child, and it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're going to have to make it work. But you do, 100%. So more than not, you're right. Most children aren't planned. Even when you kind of do plan, well, you know, there are a few children who are really planned, and you're trying, and then it comes and it's great. But there's the planned, unplanned child, like when you've had talks about kids. So you know she wants to have kids, but there wasn't like we're trying for a baby right now. And it kind of comes in that period. Yeah, in that period, it kind of like, oh,
so when you say she, so this wasn't a mutual thing for you?
What's that with whenever I've had a child?
Yeah, you said she, when she she wants the child.
Talking hypothetically.
I was hypothetical.
Yeah,
okay, cool. Hypothetical, but you about to put me on the spot. I'm about to get in troubles. I was like, no. I'll be very brutally honest. I'll be very honest. I think every single time I had a child, apart from my last 3, last four. My last four kids, I could say, I started, and again, this was also about now being, I have to be very brutally honest. In the beginning now, when I was first having it, it'll be like, okay, I'm not against having the baby, but I don't think it's the right time. And then the first pregnancy, I was really good because it was my first one, so I was really, really excited. Second pregnancy, not so much. Because I really didn't think we could manage it, to be fair. I was really, really stressed about that one. And then I handled that pregnancy totally wrong. From that pregnancy, I said I'll never, ever handle another one like that. But I think during that, what I tried to do was be an arsehole. I tried to be the biggest arsehole, but thinking in that time, you would just think, you know what, I don't even want to have a baby with him. That didn't happen. You had the baby anyway. You had the baby under stress. I felt like shit at the end because it wasn't even in your character to really be doing all of this. And in the end, you made it work. So it just taught me, even baby 4, 5, 6, 7. I was like, you know what? Every time they come, you're never ready. But that's what life taught me. You never think you're ready when it's coming. But you're going to get ready. So don't make her feel no way about this. And I say her because it's always the woman's decision final if you're really having a baby. And I never tried to make her feel, after pregnancy number 2, I've never tried to make no woman feel like I don't want the baby. Even if
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Because if that baby comes, you're always going to be remembered as what you didn't want. So you live and you learn. So ideally plan your pregnancies, but hey.
Because you can plan money, you can plan everything else. But once the babies, because people, sometimes what a lot of people do, they'll plan all the other stuff. Plan the birth, plan this, plan that. We're going to do this, we're going to live here. But once that baby's come, you have no idea what's going on until that baby gets there.
Yeah.
They might not sleep. They might not take to you. They might not breastfeed. They might not do this. They might not do that. So all your plans, you can have all the money in the world, all your plans gone out the window.
Gone out the window.
So there's an argument, like you're saying, you can never really be
quote unquote ready.
It's never really a good time. As if you have the conversation, you both want to do it. That's as good a time as it's going to get. It can either work from there, or it's not.
Can I ask the men a question? Obviously, yes, it takes 2 people to obviously create the baby. But I guess maybe leading to what you kind of said, do you kind of feel like generically, not even personally, but generically amongst your friends and stuff like that, who more than often is kind of leading the need for the child? Or the want of the child?
Sometimes it's
50-50. I said 50-50.
50-50?
Because I've had friends that's really pushed it as well. The girl weren't really ready for it. Like, she's doing her career, and he's like, no, we need to have a baby. We need to. Like, everyone's having kids. And I've seen it on 50-50 angles. Girls and boys. I wouldn't put that to a sex.
No? Okay.
Personally, from my personal experience.
I don't think so. I think it's guys. Guys that will say we don't, but like, I'm eternally broody. I'd do it again, given the opportunity. Like, plant that seed, I'm involved. Yeah, 100%. I ain't got the money to pay for it. But, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, both. 100%.
Both?
Yeah, 100%.
Tay, what are your thoughts on, do you think parenting should be planned in an ideal world?
See, I'm the only person in the room that doesn't have kids. And I'm of age. And I've had people say to me, just have a one-night stand, and these are like, when I say people, I say my own mother, even my dad has said, just have a one-night stand, bring the baby come, don't matter, we don't need them.
They love to say that, yeah, bring the baby come.
Bring the baby come, we don't need them, we'll look after the baby. Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it?
So for me, I don't know, I'm still kind of the mindset that I would like to plan when I have a child, but I know my clock is doing this, it's ticking. But if tomorrow I met somebody and, I don't know, somehow ended up pregnant, well, not somehow, we know how it goes to end up pregnant, then I would have that child and then figure it out. Because I have to. So, but in the ideal world, yes, it'd be nice to have the husband, the little bit of marriage, the travelling, then the children or what have you. But, But going back to what the guys were saying about sort of the 50-50 on who's kind of the push for the kids, like my last partner, he was very much, let's have a baby, let's have a baby, let's have a baby, more so than me. And I just thought, I'm not having a baby with you. Our situation's a mess. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, I think ideally it'd be nice to plan it, but 9 out of 10, if it happens, it happens. And you just have to kind of do what you got to do, you know? It's either do or die, you know?
You plan a holiday, you have kids. It's 2 different things. No? It's got to be.
I think with, because my daughter was semi-planned, if that makes sense. So we'd kind of made a decision that we were going to try the next year. Because I was very much like, I'm not having any kids in the first 2 years of marriage because that's when it's first predicted to fail. Da 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 da. That's another story. But you know, later on down the line,
Love a stat in it.
I do you know what? I
love
do.
a stat.
I do.
You
I actually
love
do.
a
I
stat,
think it must be
boy.
the Virgo in me. Yeah, because I've always been like that, you know. Actually, when I think about it, but yeah. So we'd kind of discussed. So I was like, do you know what? Right, what I'm gonna do? I am gonna go Miami, go Jamaica in one holiday, like one trip, like have the time of my life. And then when I get back, if all is well, we'll do this thing. So we had this conversation towards the end of the year, so like around these times. I felt pregnant by January. So I had to cancel my Miami and Jamaica trip.
Hot girl summer got cancelled.
Got cancelled. It got fully cancelled. So as much as I did try and do like planning, it never actually worked out. But I think maybe because we had a kind of mutual agreement that this is what we wanted, I was, you know, I didn't get to do my Miami, Florida. And actually, I'm going to do it, actually.
You can do it now.
I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now because she's 6 now. She's all right. But yeah, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. I'm not saying that there's resentment there.
Yeah.
That's not what I said. I didn't say I felt a way about it. It's not what I said.
Not at all.
At all.
Nah, not at all. Never.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad that my first solo holiday as a mother only happened this year in March. I'm not mad about that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not mad.
It's like sometimes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Sacrifices, isn't it?
Sacrifices. I don't mind. It's absolutely fine. It's fine. Absolutely fine. Anyway, as we digress. So, what are the repercussions of having an unplanned child?
Baby
Anyone
mama drama.
thrown into the room?
Oh,
Baby mama drama.
Okay.
That's the consequences of that.
baby father drama.
Baby father drama,
father
baby
drama.
mama
Be fair.
drama.
Be fair.
Yeah, both.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit more. So, what kind of drama are we talking about?
Oh, mate.
I suppose from other people's situations, I guess it could be the expectation that's then placed on somebody who maybe didn't want the child or did want the child or what have you, you know? So maybe
'Cause you
that can create drama.
Because sometimes people will tell you what you want to hear as well. Like, people will...
Because someone can manipulate you into having a baby and then turn around and not
And not
be
really...
involved.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, hang on.
Or I didn't want this kid.
Yeah, and then it's like...
I just said I did because you... And then so you can only... Planning can only really go so far. It's only when you're actually in it that you can say, all right, cool, I'm in it and we're both in it. And you only really know how far the other person's really into it when you're actually both in it. Otherwise, it's lip service, isn't it? People will just tell you what you want to hear and say whatever. So you don't actually know. So there's not even... You don't even know what the repercussions are going to be unless you because you might never have a repercussion because it might just... You might get your fairy tale ending.
But do you know what, though? I kind of feel like, you know, when relationships break down, because it so classically happens once a child comes into the situation.
The whole dynamic changes.
The whole dynamic changes. Everyone's tired, money's tight, someone's working more than the other person, the baby's demanding X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. That will probably just lead to nitpicking, a little bit of attitude, a little bit of nagging, yada, yada, yada. And before you know it, we have you know, a fractured household. As parents, how can you alleviate that? Like in hindsight now?
In hindsight.
In hindsight. Because, you know, there's going to be people watching this and it's like, okay, how do I avoid that?
I say listen. Listen to your partner closely, because 9 times out of 10, even with all the manipulation and stuff that's going on, they're giving you a glimpse of their real character. It's whether you're choosing to kind of have your blinders on, if that makes any sense. So I say listen to people closely and believe them. Not like believe them, but listen, know people for what and who they are.
Yeah.
And take them as that, and you will never be in shock, if that makes any sense. So in that regard, I would say that, 'cause a lot of times you hear people talking and you look at them, you can see the writing on the wall before they can, because they're in the situation. So that would be a big thing, I'll say.
Yeah, I do you know, I always say people will always tell you about themselves very early on, and it's down to you to kind of at that point be like, because I mean I've done it. Like people have said things to me, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the line, when it's now gone very left, but you told me in a very nice
roundabout
way that, do you know what, this is what I can be like.
Yeah. Exactly. 9 times out of 10 as well, it's coming in the form of a story. So they're telling you about something that's happened in-house. Maybe something that's happened with another friend. Now, in your head, you said, but that's his friend. He ain't going to do that to his girlfriend. That's just how he is with them. Or, he did that to a work colleague. That's just how they are at work. But 9 times out of 10, if you're listening, whether they're petty, whether they're this, it's going to be out in the little stories. So what I would say is keep your eyes aware and don't ignore the red flags, because they're definitely going to be there.
Yeah.
There's only a few people that are very good at playing that game so they can hide all them red flags, and then you just hit with it at the end. You usually end up kicking yourself because they were there the whole time. You just chose to ignore it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Truth. And no matter how much you think you planned,
there's
going to be a million things you ain't planned for. Yeah? You cannot plan for the unknown. It's impossible. You can't do it. It's impossible.
And I think even like when, I mean, I don't have 2 kids, but I kind of feel like as well, like what I see a lot is that what you get with the first child,
definitely don't get with the second one. You don't get with the second one.
No. Like the first one might have been a breeze. They might have been quite, this is fine. Then the second one is coming like
something, Satan's spawn.
Yeah. Tasmanian devil. Tearing up your house.
Even twins are different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so all you can do is you try and do your best. And when the things that you've planned start going awry, I love that word, awry. Never get to use that often enough. Awry, 3rd time. When things start going 4th time, awry. Don't get you know what I mean? Just let it and just deal with it. Don't dwell on it and be like, well, this isn't going to plan. We didn't plan for this. This isn't how I envision things. Forget all that. Just
freestyle. Yeah,
just sometimes in life you got to freestyle, right? You got to just crack on. Things happen. Be like water. Be formless.
Yes.
Yes, Bruce.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Be formless and just flow over everything and just get to where you're going, man, and just relax. You'll get there. And if you don't, be all right with that too.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
I suppose I would just probably echo what you were saying, really, is there's no planning for something that you don't know what it's going to look like, be like, act like when it arrives. You know, ideally, it would be nice to plan for a child's arrival in terms of having your ducks in a row, whatever those ducks may be. But, you just kind of got to go with the flow of things, Yeah, that's it.
For me, to summarize, I think that whilst you can't plan everything, just put yourself in the best possible position that you can. Like, whether it be money-wise, whether it be, having a network and a community around you to help with that child. Because, I think we live in a very individualist society now. And I always say, like, if we were back home, we'd be living next door to grandma, to our mum. There's an auntie here. There's someone there. So there's a lot of people to help, you know, raise this child or these children. So if you can do that, I would say aim just to have certain things already established and in place, and then you just got to kind of, like you say, let it free flow from there. But yeah, that's my little kind of summary wrap up.
Tidbit.
Yes, just a little bit.
All right. We're gone.
Nose, Kieron.
We're gone.
Okay. Thank you for watching.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thanks for. This has been us. Again, I think the outtakes. We need an outtake reel. Sometimes the outtakes are funny. This has been us. This has been episode 6.
Yes.
Episode 6. We'll be back next week.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe, comment, engage with. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be here.
All right, and it's a wrap.
Wrap.